Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Masters of Self University podcast. I'm your host, Ellie Lee.
And I'm your host, Morley.
And today we are joined by the 2024 Mystical Coaches of Oneness, Tracy, Ty, and Nico, everybody.
It is such a gift to have you beautiful souls on this podcast. It's cool to have all three of you in this this special episode that we've got for you today. So thank you so much to each of you for joining us. And let's start diving in. Ellie?
Yeah, so, the three of you guys are really unique because unlike me and Danny, we just hopped into the 6-month program to become a coach in this work, but you guys had all prior experience. I know Tracy and Ty, you did the Power Within group class. Tracy worked one-on-one. Nico, I know you have been working with Rachel. And so tell us a little bit about who you were before you decided to do the work at MSU and what started shifting within you when you started the work.
I'll go ahead and start. So the person I was before, people pleaser, abandoned myself constantly, low self-worth, shame, judgment, constantly felt those programs on the daily. And I happened to stumble upon Ellie's Instagram and saw her posting about what's happening within you. And I had to know what that was about. And I dug in further, had a 3-month one-on-one coaching experience with Ellie, and just felt the transformation and the calling to continue with the certification to become a coach. And, I was the type of person who did all the things. I think, Ellie, you can relate. We talked about doing meditation, Reiki, sound baths, plant medicine, female retreats. It all led me to this point where it touched the surface of what I was going through, but it didn't necessarily go deep. And this work allowed me to do that.
Beautiful. Nico, Ty, you guys want to share?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump right in. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here to join you guys. Before I joined the coaching program, I was able to do the group course with you, Danny, and you, Ellie. So it was just such a monumental moment for me, a big pivot where I was moving through a lot when it came to my family, seeing these patterns and programs that my family has dealt with for decades at this point. And it was taking a toll on me. I was coming out of, the pandemic and that whole era, just going through like a dark night. And I was searching, I was looking. I did the talk therapy for a few months. It didn't hit what it needed to hit. So I was just so grateful to find this work, to work with you both, to receive that guidance. And for me, it just kickstarted my desire to become a coach and to pass it forward. So I thank you both because it's just amazing to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, it's so cool because, before Nico goes, we get to experience you guys shift, we got to see you from day one till day whatever this is now, and seeing what has been going on within you guys, seeing how much you've elevated. It's just been what a journey for me and Danny to get. It's like we carried you as an infant, and then you guys started walking, and it's we're just these really, really proud guides in that way to see you guys make such monumental changes, and holy crap, like, and this is just the beginning, which is so fun to think about.
And to feel them shift, that's the best part. Is like, oh, they just showed up to this call in an entirely different energy right now.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'll never forget, like, Tracy, like that one big shift you made in the coaching certification, which I'm sure at some point you can, you'll touch on, but just completely glowing, like very different energy, and it's palpable when someone makes a big shift like that. You can really feel them.
Yeah.
You can really feel the difference that they bring, especially when you're in these classes, and in those classes a lot of our stuff is coming up and we're having to work through them, and just to feel somebody showing up and then from there forward in an entirely new energy, like, it's really, really cool, and that's the beauty of this work, right?
Yeah. And Nico, your experience is unique because you were working with Rachel, not any of us. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I discovered Rachel from the I think Paul Chek's podcast, and when I've done so many different healing modalities, and I'm sure anyone who's probably hears me on here now, I've done Reiki, I've done stuff with shamans, I've done so many things with Paul Chek, all these other things. But when I heard Rachel, just something, I got to get on this, and there's just something about her work that's a little different. It goes a little deeper, that I feel that it's really alchemizing something on a different level, and I don't know how to explain it, because I know everyone talks about inner child work. Oh, I know that, I know this, but I feel like I've done so many. I'm the self-help queenie over here,
Yeah.
But this is actually, you feel it. You see people transforming, like, before your eyes. Like, you see that shift, and I felt like I was so much more in isolation, and now I feel like I'm coming out more. Like, but it's not forced. It's not from the mind. I actually feel like something shifted inside of me where it's coming out naturally. That's why I know this work is a little different, because sometimes you have to do all these mantras and push yourself to do all these affirmations, and it's a lot of work. But you do the work here, but then once you alchemize it, then you have more space to be, for your soul to just be,
Yeah.
You're becoming, like she says, you're becoming, and it's just shining. Like, I wouldn't be in that Discord group. Like, I hate fucking groups. I hate all that shit. Like, I hated it because you feel like everyone's judging you. But now that I've alchemized stuff, I don't care. Like, I mean, I have different stuff that I care about, but it's not as heavy. It's not as lethargic to come out there and say what I needed to say,
Yeah, I mean, I love that, what you just talked about, affirmations, because holy shit, like, everything before Rachel's work, it was like I was constantly just speaking affirmations, right? And Rachel's work is like, what's the energy behind the affirmation? If I'm sitting here and I'm saying things like, I am safe, and I don't feel safe, you're just sitting there looking like a psychopath saying things. So let's heal the unsafety that you feel. Like, it makes so much sense when you actually have an elevated teacher that's teaching you, how to actually heal, instead of doing all this stuff where you're just really simply wasting time, right? It's actually never alchemizing or healing anything. Yeah. I love that. So tell us a little bit, guys, of like, what was kind of the moment you decided, like, oh man, I really do want to be a coach in this work? Like, what made you hop into the 6-month program? Because people don't realize the 6-month program is crazy. And I mean crazy in the most beautiful, expansive way possible. To truly get through the 6 months, you must be willing and devoted to do the work, because it's being led by Rachel. You got to go in, because to be a great coach, it's going to be, how much work are you going to do on yourself? A lot of people think, well, being a great coach is like, I'll just practice with other people all the time. It's like, it's got nothing to do with anything. If you're not doing the work internally, you'll never become the greatest possibility of a coach that you could be. So tell us a little bit about what kind of inspired you guys to, like, really make that jump to start being a coach in this work.
Well, for me, I felt like I just wanted to get in, like, learn how to do it, and I think what inspired me was that it was going to go deeper, that I would have to do deeper work. When you're actually getting all those steps, and you're learning how to build. It's, why not learn how to be a contractor to yourself, like, learn how to see the brokenness inside of you and fix it yourself, and not look outside of yourself. I mean, this work, you can do that without doing the coaching program, but it takes you a little deeper, and it'll be able to help other people. It's a plus.
Yeah, with this work, you have to be truly aligned from that place of selfless service of like, yes, I'm healing myself for myself, but I understand that healing myself also is for you, because the more that I heal, the more that I elevate. Yeah, like that helps the world. And that's what makes, you know, a good coach, is when they're doing it, yes, for themselves, but also for the goodness of all. And if we all chose to heal ourselves, right, then that's what would heal the world. And that if we're aligned with that as a coach of like, yeah, I'm doing this because I want to heal, not because I want to be the best. And that's obviously a common trap to fall down, is if I just want to be the best coach to be the best, then within this work, you're never going to get there. If you want to be the best coach because you want to help others from a place of heart-centered connection, that's what's going to take you far. And the fact that everyone here, you know, you three worked with either a coach before this, or whether it's, you know, Rachel the goat, and then wanted to go deeper and learn the certification and gain the skill of actually being able to guide somebody else, because it is a big difference working on yourself, going into yourself. And that's, as Ellie said, that's like the first piece of this. But then you have to learn the skill to guide somebody else through that journey. And that takes that's what the certification is about, right? That's a completely new skill. So what was that like for you all after learning this work individually, and you've been, you know, going in and healing yourself, to then have to start guiding another? What was that like?
It was such a shift from getting or being coached to becoming the coach. And I chose to do the coach certification program because I couldn't go back. Where Ellie and I got me towards, I just knew I had to go further. And there was a lot of fear there. I did not know what I was going into, but I just know I had to push forward because I knew freedom was coming. Freedom is coming. So making that shift, you know, I did kind of, I was like, oh yeah, I did the 3-month program with Ellie. I got this. I know what this is about. But whoa, it was all the triggers, all my insecurities were coming out. And Ty and Nico being in my class, like I know they saw the shift where I was just very shy and timid and just scared. Like, how I don't know if I'm completely healed. How am I going to heal this other person? But it gets to the point of just really truly doing the work on yourself and healing those programs on yourself, then you become a better coach. And I think what Danny was alluding to is I was working so hard just healing all my programs, and I still have a lot of, you know, I have a lot to go. But once I, you know, got traction on it, I just showed up to class one day and I just had this different aura, and I felt it. I felt the power. I felt the love, the connection of who I truly am, and passing that on to someone else. And me being in healthcare, like that's kind of innate in me, and passing on that to someone else, healing myself to heal the world. That is just something so beautiful that I just had to participate in.
I love that. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, just to keep with that same, you know, strand of thought there. When I finished the group course, I was in this kind of limbo where I was like, do I do this coaching? Do I commit? You know, I was running a lot of programs in terms of, can I afford it? You know, it's gonna, you know, take a hit financially for me, and I don't know if I can afford this. Like, those are all programs that, you know, I recognized, and Danny helped me recognize too at some point, that I can alchemize those. You know, that fear of like, this is a lot of money, you know, I'm gonna have to invest. And I'm like, I couldn't see that I'm investing in myself. And that's what I had to overcome and alchemize some of those fears around security and fears around money. So it was just, once I moved past that and got into the course, I was able to take an exhale and kind of breathe a little bit more. When it came to coaching other people, though, some of those programs come back in. You know, am I doing a good enough job? Am I actually healing anything inside of them? Am I being responsible with them and their emotions and their sensitivities? Um, it's a lot. It's a lot to have to navigate, but you know, Rachel and all the other coaches are there to help guide you as you learn this new skill. So you're not alone and you're not floundering. There's a lot of support.
And I wanted to say also that, you know, with this community and this coaching, you know, like you go to medical school, they kind of stop kind of educating themselves and digging deep in themselves. They're not taking the medication. They're not trying it out on themselves. We're trying, we're working on our triggers and we're healing stuff so we can help other people. You know, we're alchemizing our shame programs, our entitlement programs and all this stuff. So when we meet that, we can be more present with that, which I love, you know, and a lot of, I think, other probably coaches, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone else, but, you know, usually coaches are getting coached or getting therapy from someone else, but we have a whole community. We can coach each other and we're really digging in deep, you know, and the more we alchemize, the more present we can become the ways of oneness.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, Ty, like those programs that go, oh, will you have enough money, blah, 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 like they come and sabotage, you know, the path that you're meant to be on. You know, it's these programs are hilarious in that way. They'll do anything to keep you off the beating track. And this was the first time in my life where I actually invested in myself. Before I was never investing. I was like, no way I'm spending money on myself because I didn't think that I was worth it, or that, you know, I would run all these programs up like it's never going to actually help me. And the moment I was like, no, actually the greatest act of self-love is to invest in myself, was think about what the expansion that happens when you choose you and when you choose not to live and listen to those programs. I mean, like, think about how much we block of the magic and what the abundance that is waiting for us when we do actually set those programs aside, alchemize them, and then choose what our hearts are asking us to go on. And then look at the adventure and the joyride that you like, holy shit, like 2022 for me, like that was the year that I did this work. I mean, that was the craziest year ever. You know, just like I'll learn a few things like, no, you won't. Your life's going to explode in the most beautiful and the most painful ways. You know, I think there's this path that we're on is not like rainbows and unicorns and sprinkles. Like, this is, let's go into the depths of your pain. But when we go into the depths of your pain, connect to the truth of who you are. And that is not an easy feat at all. And yet, who do we become and what happens within us as we do that is we can't even, no one who is on this path, you can really describe this to, right? We can only understand each other because we are on the path individually. And so it's just one of the greatest, if not the greatest chapter of my life, because it's the chapter when you start connecting back to you.
Yeah, it's a warrior's journey for sure, especially as a coach. I mean,
Yeah.
every journey into ourselves, we are all walking that warrior's path of facing the fear, facing what it is that we've spent our whole lives trying to not look at or ignore or run from or avoid in some kind of way. And obviously, as a coach, you have to really walk your talk. And the beautiful thing about the work that we do, because it's all energetic, there's no bypassing it. You can't bullshit your way through the certification. There's only one way, and that's to become.
Yeah.
You can't bullshit your way to becoming more powerful because it's energetics. You bring what you are to every single client, to every single person that you work with, and the energy never lies. It's one thing Rachel always says: the energy doesn't lie. So when you truly learn to awaken to the energies and become a master at that, you can read other people's energies, and that's what you're offering to other people. And so with this work, there's no bullshit, but there is a lot of bullshit out there. And there is a lot of things that I've tried in the past that they might think they have good intentions and they might be trying to help, but it's not true education. And the education that obviously we learn through this work is true, authentic awakening, understanding the energies. And my interpretation of what I thought learning about energy was before I started this work a couple of years ago, I thought it was all Reiki, and now I understand, oh no, like every single thought I have carries an energy. Every single emotion I have is a different energy, and I can awaken to those. And I always see it as like I always forget the name, the Rosetta Stone. The once I understand this piece and I understand how to read subtle energies, I can go back through my life and I can have these moments of like, I experienced this energy when I was 6 years old when my dad said this to me, and I completely forgot. But now I understand this energy. I can go back through my past and understand all the times that I felt this way and what I was actually experiencing. And I'd love to know if any of you three have moments like that through this process of where you've realized, oh my God, I have felt this way my whole life. And I had no idea what it was. I might have not even known I've been feeling this way. And now I realize, oh, that's what this means. This thing that I'm feeling right now stems from this moment, or when this person used to, it reminds me of when this person used to say that thing. I'd just love to hear if anybody has had a realization moment through this work, through the energetics.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump right in there. Definitely saw that play out in my family. I see it with my parents. They're two souls who have a difficulty being in the same room with each other. It's an energy of toxicity whenever they're in close contact. And I grew up in that energy. And it was my childhood, my young adulthood, just being in that constantly, in that toxicity. And as a sensitive, I'm an HSP, I'm an empath. I attuned to that frequency. I ran a lot of personalization, like somehow has to do with me. I carried a lot of that shame, that sacrifice programming where I have to do everything in my power to raise my parents up, to support my mom, to be there for her financially, to get her out of this hole. And the more and more I fed into those energies, the deeper and deeper I got into this very lonely, dark place because I was completely depleted. There was a point where I was just completely depleted and I needed realization and I needed perspective. And the work at MSU allowed me to see these programs for what they are and to really reclaim that power within myself.
I think one big moment of my healing journey was when I realized that I constantly sought external validation from this person in my life. And I related back to infancy when I was a crying baby and I was reaching out to this person, and this person just had their back towards me. And that's how I thought love was. Just kept reaching to someone who couldn't even love themselves, but expected them to love me. And so that carried out to self-abandonment, low self-worth, people pleasing, and again, just always reaching out externally, whatever's outside of me for love and validation. And that was huge because during that healing, it actually happened in class, and Rachel made the analogy of an empty well. So that person was an empty well. And then she helped me guide me to myself and the unconditional love and the overflowing well that I am, that everything that I need is right within me. And that was huge. I think that's when my transformation really started.
Yeah, because nobody's teaching us that we're our own well. I mean, this is this entire world, right? This is the part of why we're all here to awaken to that. But all we're ever taught, I mean, in every song, like this morning, me and Danny were listening to the song, and the song's all about like seeking everything in somebody else, right? We're just conditioned and brainwashed to constantly think it's outside of us. Like even us religious, kids who grew up in religion, it's like it's Jesus, it's Jesus, it's Jesus. And it's all orchestrated that way so that you never actually tap within. And then the moment someone guides you back within, you're like, holy shit, I'm I can quench myself, like I can feed myself, like that's within me. And it's like, yeah, and that's the journey that we're on, is that the greatest love that you keep seeking outside of you is what you are. And let's reconnect back to that. And that in itself is such a everything we're literally doing everything we've ever been taught and going, all of that's bullshit. And now we're learning to fight it within. I mean, that's not something that just clicks in one moment. It's a everyday kind of thing of like, bring it back to me, reconnect back to me, reconnect back to me. And so I love that. Thanks for sharing. And Ty, something I'll never forget, the first time Rachel in class was like, you're a highly sensitive person. I was like, well, it makes fucking sense. I've been 32 years of drowning, I'm thinking something's wrong with me, and then she's like, well, you're an HSP. And I was like, okay, thank you, God, because holy shit, I really thought I was defected, truly. And then you realize like, oh, we came here to feel as much as we feel. And now how do we use that as our superpower? It's a big moment. Anything for you, Nico, that was like a big shift or an aha moment?
I have many, but I think the recent one is the sacrificing. I'm realizing it more being here back with my dad. Like he's he's an immigrant from Greece, and my mom, we lived in shelters. It's a lot of sacrificing, and that's all I've just sacrificing myself, giving away all this stuff. My father was just say, why don't you just give her this? He always feel like his sacrificing programs is always about giving to other people. It's not really selfless service, right? It's just, oh, I don't want to see them struggle. They've been through a lot. Here, give them something. But and then he has nothing. He doesn't even take care of his own self over here. His apartment sucks. No offense, but he doesn't really buy himself good things, But I notice I do that to myself too. So that's all I've been taught, and just having, just it's just those. I'm realizing more how much I need to go even deeper. How maybe that's why I'm so tired in some different levels. My mind, because you're sacrificing all your time and energy, and you think that you're doing good, but it's not really. You're not doing yourself any service by. And that's the trick, sometimes you like, and even from the outside, people are like, but you're doing a good deed. It's your father or it's your mother. Why don't you just, give them a little something, it's okay. But they don't realize it's a sacrifice, So we're all supporting each other, sacrificing each other. We all do it to each other, right? So I'm noticing more of that, like all the way we are programmed, and we're so used to it. Like, oh, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay if we keep doing this to ourselves, and we're not really helping anybody by doing that.
I had a shift this weekend about realizing where a part of me was still looking for mom to come do it for me. Wounded aspect to my inner child that never grew up, and I've been working on this part for a long time, and something big shifted this weekend, and it came from, and I'm sure Ellie and I will record a podcast on this, but we spent a night in the woods, and just being in the energy of all of the trees, it felt like it cleared everything out, and gave me the clarity to see what was going on. And in that shift, now I've returned back to San Diego, not in the woods anymore. I can see how much more energy I have when I stop doing the sacrifice energy, or like giving it out, or trying to save other people. When I'm in that energy trying to save other people, it's like all of your energy leaves and it never comes back. And then that's what depletes us so much. I know you mentioned about that, Ty, and what you were sharing about you're just getting really depleted and getting to that place of just being very drained. And when we're constantly coming from this place of, oh, I have to save you, I've got to sacrifice, I've got to give everything away, I've got to like help, and it's coming from this very powerless place, it does drain us. And then what I realized this weekend is when I choose to do that myself and stop looking for that thing outside of me, the energy comes back. It stays within my own energetic system. And then instead of it just leaving, it's fueling me. It's coming back in. I may use the energy to do something, but it's staying within my fields and it's feeding itself instead of having to try and feed on something else or give my energy away. So 100% Nico, like totally agree. When we choose to find things within us, this is how our energy systems work. It gives us more energy. We don't get as drained, we don't get as depleted, because we're serving ourselves, and our energy systems are supposed to operate that way. We've just been brainwashed and conditioned to give it away.
Right.
And yeah.
But it also creates loneliness, and then you wonder why you're lonely, or you feel like nobody does this, because you're not really coming from that place of selfless service. And I could see that in my father, I could see that in myself, but then I'm learning to have more compassion for myself and be more gentle with myself,
Yeah,
more
beautiful.
alchemize this.
Yeah. I'd love to ask this question. I think that before I started Rachel's work, I did a little talk therapy, I was doing all the healing modalities, whatever, but I would run this program of, even if I do all of these things, I can never actually heal why I'm so depressed. Right. And so you start running this program of like, this can actually never be healed. And then you start this work and you're like, oh yeah, this can totally be healed because it's an energy. So I'd love to know, is there something that you guys have healed or actively healing that you thought was going to be a part of you for the rest of your life?
Where to begin with that one? That's like the $1,000,000 question, Ellie, right? So many things I thought I couldn't heal. I lost my brother. He passed away. I thought I could never heal that grief. I thought we're kind of programmed that, the grief will always be here. The grief will always be around for the rest of your life, that emptiness, that hole. And it doesn't. That grief can be alchemized too. Like there's really nothing that this work, this process can't alchemize and bring into the light. I shared earlier, like finances, money. That's a big one for a lot of us. I know a lot of people listening are probably feeling in some way the program of money and scarcity. That can be alchemized too. You can find your power in that as well. And for me, um, I'm gay. I had to find a way to alchemize the shame and the guilt will be put on people in our society that have this orientation. It's a shame and a guilt that is with us from a very young age, and those programs build on each other. And I'm just so grateful that this work allows me to actually reintegrate, my power in that too.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Because when we don't alchemize it, we stay in suffering. And when you alchemize it, you're free. Yeah. So beautiful. Great share. Anyone else?
There was I've been having some, I don't know, maybe it's perimenopause, I don't know. You can call it that, but I didn't want to dismiss it as that, but I wanted to go deeper to see what this pain was. Like sometimes I would have something in my head, like I would just get so excruciating pain in my head. And I would just kind of go into that pain and do some of the steps that we've done. And there was one time in the class where I was teething, like my teeth I was aching, like my head was on fire, and it took me back to when I was an infant, screaming my head off, like just being neglected, and it literally went away within that session. It was
Holy crap.
amazing. Yeah, and it was like I felt so much better. I haven't had that excruciating pain when you can alchemize it, but it was stuff like that. I really want to go deeper into other little pain body stuff that comes up. Sometimes we think that it's never going to go away, but it can be alchemized. Sometimes you may need some guidance to do it. You can't do it on your own because sometimes the pain is so excruciating like that, but it was a witness to the whole group. It was amazing. So I like that this can actually alchemize that energy behind that pain.
I've been working on judgment. I grew up in an enmeshed and rigid environment, and when things don't go my way, I get really upset and love to control things. I was very type A, perfectionist, had to be this, had to do that, had to be this way. And I've been really tapping into that and seeing where that comes from. Why is it here? And as I start to heal the layers of it, I'm softening, and I feel that judgment softening, and that opens up just so much more, like the way of presence, the way of connection. And I just feel like I'm enjoying life in a different way. And that ugliness of judgment, it's, it's quieting down, and I'm getting there, but it's still there.
Judgment. We all do it until we heal it, right? And it's super easy to just notice your like, oh, I'm judging, don't do that. And that's one level. Obviously, to have that awareness, oh, I started to judge, don't want to do that, like, let me make a different choice. But to go deep within yourself and find the reason why we're judging in the first place, that's where the magic happens. And I was having this conversation with a patron at work last night, and where he was at in his journey was just kind of like recognize the thoughts and, just choose a different thinking pattern. And, I've had to just honor him in that. But I did invite him to be like, hey, like, have you ever, like, sat in contemplation about where the thought is actually coming from? Why are you, because this was the conversation we were having, like, why is it that an aspect of me is comparing me to this other person or judging this other person for having more money? And when we can find, that part, when we can find the reason why, that's where the magic happens. And then it's not even a case of, oh, I have to not judge, right? I have to make the choice. It just doesn't even exist in our awareness anymore. And obviously it takes time to move through this process and find all of those parts that are. And normally it just starts with realizing, oh, I am judging right now, and that's not the most divine thing to do. So maybe I can choose something else. And that's all that it can be, is just making that different choice. And has there been any, like, huge choices that you've made since starting this work, whether that, like, making a different choice internally to be something else, or big life choices that have came your way that you found your power to move towards now?
Shortly after completing this program, I was really looking at my professional career. And now that I've been doing this work, I'm no longer aligned to it. I have made a professional switch, which I'm really excited about. It will give me the opportunity to focus more on this and expand myself more as a coach. But it was huge. It was a huge decision. And I have been in this position for 4 years. I've been in healthcare for 15. And just seeing the involvement of healthcare pre-COVID, post-COVID, it's just not where I feel like it should be. So my goal for selfless service is to pay more attention to this work and hopefully pay it back to healthcare. So again, that was a huge decision, but it just feels so right.
Beautiful.
For me, after the coaching program ended, I had to get really real with how I show up in my family, in enabling them and enabling their programs. Now that I have this awareness, there's a responsibility that comes. I can't continue to show up knowing what I know now. So if it means that I can't deplete myself financially to help another member of the family, or drop everything and drive them around, or do whatever they need of me and it depletes me, I have to now be cognizant, aware, set those boundaries. As a sensitive person, those boundaries, you got to learn them. And this work has really helped with that.
Similar to Ty, I'm in a transition, just getting better with setting those boundaries, That's basically what it is. And it was very difficult for me. And I know Rachel was telling me that in the last class, that I just have to keep working on that a little bit more. The more I alchemize things, it'll be a little easier, Again, you don't have to set those boundaries from that egoic place or the mental, because a lot of people know about setting boundaries and all that stuff, but when you alchemize that energy, you know, you can come from a more pure place or a place of, you know, oneness or peace, you know. So just keep working on that.
Beautiful. I'd love to switch gears just here a little bit and talk about psychic gifts, because before I even started this work, rewind for me to 2021, I didn't really even believe in psychics. And I remember Rachel in class mentioning that she's psychic, and I think I was a bit skeptical. And after a few weeks of class, I was like, oh, wow, she really is psychic. And I guess this really is a thing, because I was very close to a lot of that. And now, after practicing this work for a while, I have a few of my gifts starting to come online. And it's taken a while, and I understand everybody is psychic in their own way. But a lot of those gifts, they are completely suppressed because we're not in our power. And an organic process of this work, we never have to go out and study psychic things. If we're truly awakening, they'll just come online as we heal, as we elevate, as we grow and evolve, and we integrate our power and our soul self more. And that has been 100% my experience. I'm able to feel things in other people. I'll have different visions. I'll have different things that are happening more and more, where I'm getting little hits. And I'm blown away, because a few years ago, like, I wouldn't have even believed that psychics exist. And now I see, like, everyone's psychic. It's just so suppressed. We're so conditioned to not live in that realm. And I would love to hear if anyone had any gifts online before they started any of this work, or if anything has started to open up and they're just getting little nudges or little bits as they've been healing and growing.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I grew up as an empath. That's something that I just kind of came in with, feeling everyone's emotions. I feel people's emotions in my body. And to be a coach, that ability, that gift has really helped me connect with people. It was not always that case growing up. It was extremely painful. Just picking up programs from family. My family's a pretty loud family, and I'm more reserved, more quiet. Definitely the black sheep of the family. So having that empathic gift online up until I started this program only became more acute once I went through the coaching program. I noticed that going to the grocery store, going out, I could feel more. It was becoming more acute, more present. And even now, it's even more present. And it's demanding me to now kind of alter my life in different ways. I can't eat the same foods anymore. I can't hang out until 2 a.m., whatever it looks like. I have to really honor that this work does it increases your sensitivity levels. So I have to honor that that's taking place, and I have to honor my body in a new way because of that.
To piggyback on Ty, I definitely do feel that sensitivity piece. Like, what was working for me before this work definitely is not working for me now. I definitely have to have more sleep. I'm more mindful of what I put in my body. I think even before this work, my friends used to think that I was psychic because I would be thinking about them and I would text them, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," or "How are you doing?" And they would always respond like, "Oh my God, how do you know?" And then I think now, after doing this work, I still sense that like someone might need some help or might need some love. But it's more clear. I'm more intentional about reaching out to people versus giving my energy away, like Danny was alluding to earlier.
Definitely been feeling more. I mean, I've always been a seer, but I know Rachel was telling me I need to learn to feel more. And I've always sensed things, but I think I was, again, looking outside it doesn't match always what I'm feeling inside. So then I give away my power. I just kind of dismiss myself, you know, but it's also having to learn to have to trust myself more and just keep staying steady with that. But I've been feeling people's thoughts. And then like a friend of mine, I was like in the back of the car, I was like, oh, I love Ellie. I don't know if it was my thought, it was hers. And then after I got out of the car, she was like, she said something, but I didn't hear her. And then when she sent me a voice memo, she said, I meant what I said. I love you. And I was like, oh shit, I felt that in the car. I felt you said that to me. So that was so cool. Like I'm hearing it, I'm feeling it much more deeper, much more clear now. That was just so cool, the confirmation that she said it. Some people I feel they don't always bring it out to the forefront, but lately it seems like it's matching whatever I'm feeling. People are kind of bringing it to the surface, which is giving me confirmation. You know what I mean? Instead of me seeking it always before, because I'm like, is it true? But now it's coming to me. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think there's so many things that you're going to experience on this journey that there's no textbook for it, right? It's all individual. And my most magical moments are like the times where I drop in and I just feel that opening. Like there are no words to describe that. Or like there was this one time me and Danny were in separate rooms and we came out at the same time and we are both like, bro, we access unconditional love. Like it was just a totally separate thing, but it's like there are no words. There's nothing that you can describe what that feeling is. And like, it may not be all the time, but it's every time, you spend any time with yourself, it's just magical. It's beautiful. And I come back to that a lot. Yeah.
What was it like being in a group doing this work? Because some people get really worried about doing this work in a group, and that's totally normal. And the depth of work that we're going to, we're sharing some really deep stuff, and that's obviously can bring up a lot of reservation, a lot of reluctancy, and so the idea of doing this work in a group can be very, very jarring for some people. And it's something that I get a lot when I'm talking to people who are interested in doing the work. I think I want to do a one-on-one, and one-on-one's great, but the power of doing this in the group, to me, there's nothing more magical. I absolutely love doing this work as a group because you get to heal truly in oneness with other people. You get to see, you're not alone in this crazy journey we have, this human experience. So I'd just love to hear what it was like. Maybe if anything shifted in your perception of doing this work as a group before and after, or if you enjoyed doing it as a group versus one-on-one.
I'm not into polyamory. This is the closest I get to polyamory. I don't believe in it, but this is, like I said before, I'm not doing that, okay? But like I said before, I hate groups and stuff like that. It felt so safe, and I felt everyone's being really authentic. You can't be fake. You can't, like you said, you can't get away with it. The energy's there, and Rachel's there the whole time. I mean, I felt nervous, in the beginning, trying to get things right. That's normal. That's going to come up. But everyone sharing, you resonate with it. Everyone, it's human. All these are programs that we've all been conditioned with. So it's like, what's the big deal? Like, you know what I mean? You start to see all these patterns. You're like, okay, it really does help you and then you get inspired by what the other person is saying. Oh yeah, I have that program too. Let's get that shit out of the way, So it definitely, I mean, I don't know. Again, whatever, like me sharing on the Discord stuff or just being in the group, it's a big thing for me. It really is. Like I'm such a loner. I like to do the one-on-ones. And then when Rachel recommended that I go with do the power within, like she felt like I needed that support, and it was the best thing for me. I mean, Rachel's fantastic, but then going into that group stuff really helped me to get out of my shell a bit more. So if you're really in your shell and you always like the privacy stuff, it's time to up level,
It
I still
definitely
like monogamy, okay? I don't want to do the polyamory.
It definitely brings out another aspect of our wounding when we have to, open up and be vulnerable in front of other people, and we can hide a lot, or our small self can can hide a lot when we just do one-on-one, and there's so much power in both doing the one-on-one and the groups. It's just, yeah, I just absolutely love it.
I immediately trusted everyone because whoever got into this program means business. So I know none of you were going to fuck around. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to tell you all my deepest, darkest secrets that I never tell anyone. So let's heal some shit. And it's been beautiful. Like Ty, Nico, and I, along with our other classmates, we check in with each other regularly. We do voice notes daily, and it's just like your family, your community, just, all in one. And it's so great that if I am just going through something, I just text them or call them, and they're just immediately right there because they know what it's like. They know how heavy it could be. And it's just beautiful. So I'm happy that I did the group. I'm happy that I met all of my classmates, and I'm looking forward to working with them more.
Yeah, listen, I'm in Nico's camp too. Like I'm the loner, I'm the hermit. I've always been the hermit of my friend groups. It's like, where did Ty go? Is he okay? Is he still there? So this challenged me to really be present in like a group environment and to be open to that. And to be, perfectly honest, I still have some programs in me that I'm like worried about sharing in a group setting, because those are like the deep ones that are like really down in there and they feel so dark. And it's like, people are going to judge me if I bring this up. So I'm still running those. I'm still on this path. I'm still learning, as I go. So.
Yeah. I mean, we don't get to the finish line, in a day. And everyone has their stuff they're working through, so love it. Absolutely love it.
There's also like, me being a performer, like, it's so funny. I want to perform, I want to be seen, but then I don't want to be seen. So it's the same. So it is a challenge. It is good for me to do these things because I need to. What's the purpose of living if you're just going to live in the shell? Like, I mean, I came here to do a lot more. I have a lot to share, and I can't be in that position, as I was before. So starting with the groups is good for me. I didn't know that, but baby steps. So now this will help me probably be a better performer, maybe, just to connect with people more, because before it's like,
Yeah.
people, you know what I mean? So yeah,
It's like, why would you want to be a masked performer? Like, you want the audience to like feel you through the, to know you without that barrier. This will just make you that much greater of, an artist. So,
and that's been my longing. It's to share, because I feel people think I'm so cool, or just the surface thing. I'm like, I'm more than cool. I'm more than rock and roll. I got sensitivities. I don't sound like that, but you know what I mean. So I think more that I alchemize this stuff, people can start to see the gooey stuff,
Yeah.
and they won't be so surprised because they just see the cool, what I'm saying? But I'm hot too, baby.
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful. Like the three of you, you're completely three walks of life, different walks of life, right? And then you get into this class and you're like, oh shit, you got that too? That brings up all the stuff that I didn't know that I was running, or I can relate to that. And it's like, yeah, we all carry the same wounds and programs. We're just raised in a world that tells you never to speak about that stuff, which is why we're all closed and all fucked up and all these things. And we're changing the world by being vulnerable and allowing all that stuff to come up. The darkness can only be transformed when you bring it to the light. And so, yeah, I just think it's incredible. And like me too, Ty, like I'm always like the friend, where's Ellie? Just gone by myself in the corner. Like, yeah, deuces, I'm out. And I think that's what's so incredible about this community too. It's like, we are all of these, like, quote unquote, I don't even like to say black sheep. We're the light sheep. We're the white sheep. We are the ones that have always been different and not understanding why we are the way that we are. And it's like, well, because we came here for this path. And so, yeah, it's magnificent on so many levels.
Yeah, and we'll find our balance. Like, we're gonna still probably need our alone time a lot.
Oh,
Like,
hell
like you were saying,
yeah.
like, you're like, I'm
Hell
not giving up my
yeah.
alone time. Fuck that shit. No matter how much I alchemize, I'm gonna need some alone time. I
For
mean,
sure.
even Rachel, everybody's gonna need their alone time,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
But you're finding that balance, and we're not just gonna bond like, oh, I'm just shy. I just like to be alone. Some
Yeah.
people just stay there, and but we're actually trying to go deeper to see,
Mhm.
are we really that way all the time?
Yeah,
They're just programs that's keeping us in the closet.
exactly. And I'd love to kind of round this whole episode out with, I'm sure that there are people that are listening to this, people who have had consultations who are like, yeah, I want to jump in and I want to do this work, but, they're running all these programs of sabotage or why they can't do and all these things. What would you say to those people that are on the fence of, should I do this work or should I not do this work? Is it worth my time? All of that nonsensical programming. But what would you guys say to someone like that?
I would say if you're getting that nudge, you're being guided, like it's time to go in, like it's time to really do the work for real. I came into this program thinking that I knew a thing or two about, healing and alchemizing, and I had to close all my books. Like I didn't know anything. I had to start from scratch. I had to start from square one. And it's a lesson of just being humbled. It's humility. You come in just being an empty slate to learn, to connect in a new way. So I would say to these people, really check yourself, really see if you're coming from a place of humbleness and like humility. Are you just open just to being on a new journey and learning something new? Or are you still running those programs like, I'll do that next year, it'll still be here when, 6 months from now, 2 years. It's like, it's now. It's time to go now.
Yeah, the being humble is what allows you to like really receive. And when we, get caught up in the, oh, I know, then we're trapping ourselves into a certain limited view of life. And sometimes life will come and humble you to open you like that. And that's what happened to me. I got humbled back in my like late 20s, mid 20s, and it made me open myself to so much more and start looking for answers. So that humility piece, obviously, it's one of the ways of oneness, one of the higher ways, something that we all, must become. And Rachel always says about how, the more you elevate, the less you realize and I've really been realizing that like recently. I'm like, I really know absolutely nothing. And even when like as a coach of this work, I'll be like, okay, I think I know what this work is. I'll go through another wave of like, no, that was your ego saying that. You know nothing. Click back down. Stop trying to get on your high horse, Danny. You don't know anything. You're a student of the universe. Remain humble. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know nothing. Great. Cool. And when we're in that energy of, oh, I don't know anything, that's what allows the wisdom to flow through. That's what allows you to receive, whether you're with a client or you're just being present for your partner, or a friend that's having a hard time. When we can just be in that receptive energy and be not on our high horse, that's what really allows a much deeper connection. We don't have to be a coach of this work to benefit from, what this work is. It's about becoming a better human. It's about elevating your consciousness and being able to share that with other humans and really creating what we want to create, which is that heaven on earth, and how we interact with each other and the animals and the beings that live here and the land. And that's what it's all about. And humility is a huge piece. Being the humble student, always learning, never on that high horse.
Just piggybacking what Ty said, that nudge, I would say if you're done suffering, it's time to get into this work. It is the greatest act of self-love that you can do for yourself. Yeah, it's hard as shit. You're going to just feel up and down, raw, vulnerable, scared, all the things. But at the end of it, you're just going to find this new feeling, this new energy of love that you've never felt before. And you'll really learn what it means to love yourself. And that took me a long time to really understand. So it's just amazing. So I preach this work, love this. Everyone should be doing it.
Well, Phil, if you're coming from like, oh, I've done that, or if you're suspicious or you have all this, maybe you have to drop in more and see if that's coming from really from your heart or is that from your mind? You have to give yourself some time to really drop into your heart to see where those mental programs are coming from, right? Because some people are like, oh, I've done that. Yeah, you've been to the gym many times, you're a gym rat, but every day is new. You can learn something new. You can try different exercises. It's going to change different things for you. And this work is different. I know I'm trying to still find ways because I talked to a lot of different therapists and stuff like that and coaches. And it's hard to explain sometimes because they already have their mind like, oh, I've done that. Yeah, I know. Child work. Yeah, I've done that. Just meditate and just it goes deeper than that. There's so much more. It's very specific. It's like a science, and you can really there's a blueprint. Like Rachel has that blueprint where you can follow and you really can pinpoint certain things and really helps you to find those roots issues. And you get so much from just getting coaching from other coaches and practicing with others. You're going to grow tremendously.
It's beautiful. Thank you guys so much for being here, for sharing, for the journey you've been on. And, we're all in this together and we're just going to keep seeing each other rise and rise and rise and rise. And so I'm sure we'll do many podcasts together in the future at different levels of evolution. So congrats, guys. We love you. And to anyone out there, if you're interested in doing the Mystical Coach of Oneness program, we kick off next January. You can fill out an application at masterselfuniversity.com and join that incredible class. And if you ever want to work with any of us in a group setting, one-on-one, just set up a free consultation with us at masterselfuniversity.com. And if you want to look for Nico, Ty, and Tracy, they're going to start posting up social media stuff. So you can follow them and find them. And like, share, subscribe. It really helps to keep doing this podcast for free. And until next time, we'll see you guys then. Bye.